Hi, continuing my series on animals and learning about them and then thus learning to love, respect, and have empathy for them. Today we are going to talk about kangaroos and sheep. First, give you some quick facts on kangaroos. Kangaroos are native to Australia and New Guinea. They are marsupials. They hop on 2 legs or can walk slowly on 4. They can even bounce or walk backwards. They have very powerful legs and powerful tails. They can jump up to 3 times their height or 15 feet long. You're talking about like Carl Lewis, the vegan Olympian, in the long jump there. 15 feet long. And they can run about hop about 30 miles per hour. The strong tail is almost like a 3rd leg, or you could call it a 5th leg if you count their little paws, their little T-Rex paws. They can swim. They're herbivores. Vegan, plant-based, whatever you want to call it. They eat grass. They eat flowers. They eat leaves. They eat fern, moss, and seeds, berries. They often live in groups called mobs, troops, or courts. So they're very sociable. They only live about 6 years. The females have a pouch, as we all know, where their little offspring live. And they have mammary glands in there for milk. Not your mom, not your milk. Vegan, future. They're called macropodidac, M-A-C-R-O-P-O-D-D-I-D-A-C family. There's many types of subspecies. You have the tree kangaroo, the wallabies, the wallaroos, quokkas, not koalas, and palademonians are some of the subspecies. The National Geographic source says red kangaroos are some of the biggest. They're over 5 feet tall and can weigh up to 200 pounds. The smallest is the musky rat kangaroo. They're about 6 to 8 inches in length, not counting the tail, and only about 12 ounces, so less than a pound. That's the smallest kangaroo, musky rat kangaroo. They are pregnant only for about 21 to 38 days, and they're called joeys. They're only about the size of a bee, but then they live in the pouch for 120 to 450 days. Their fossils have been found up to 20 million years ago. They are vulnerable and threatened or critically endangered due to climate change and human factors. So those are some quick facts on kangaroos. Now let's go to sheep. Most think of sheep as a fabric, like fur. Fur trim coat hoods where they kill the rabbits, wolves, dogs even, imported and mislabeled, and many other species for their fur. Well, sheep and wool can also be very cruel, according to PETA and many other sites as well, Humane Society, ASPCA. So, sheep. They're related to goats and rams. There's about 1 billion in the world. China has most of them. Adult females are called ewes, E-W-E-S. Males, rams. And the castrated ones, where they castrate them, the males with no anesthesia, are called wethers. They live in groups, herds, flocks, or mobs, are what they're called. The young ones are called lambs. So when you hear of lamb chops, they're actually young, very young sheep. I don't know what monster would do that. Vegan zombies eat grains, not brains. So they're herbivores as well, like the kangaroo. In 1996, the first mammal was cloned via somatic cells, and it was called Dolly, and that was a sheep. They're used for meat, milk, or else could live into their 20s, 12 to 14-year-old on average. Older sheep meat is called mutton. If you ever heard of rodeos, mutton busting competition. It's where kids up to about 60 pounds will try to ride on a mutton by grabbing onto their wool and their hair. So that's called mutton busting. Let me see. Wool. 25% of the wool is from Australia. Lambs typically have their ears punched for identification, their tails docked without any anesthesia, and they're castrated with no pain relief where they neuter them. There's about 3 million that die due to lack of care and heat exhaustion due to some unnatural climates that they keep them in. Mulesing, M-U-L-E-S-I-N-G, is a common practice where they actually cut pieces of the flesh off of the sheep due to folds from genetic and breeding practices that have created extra folds in their skin because they want them to produce more wool. And due to the climate and such, flies can lay eggs in there and they'll have a lot of problems. So that instead of dealing with it humanely, they do it the cheapest way because it's for profit business, and they'll actually cut chunks of the skin off, sometimes removing part of their buttocks and region and such. Very cruel practice, mulesing, M-U-L-E-S-I-N-G, if you want to learn more about that. So wool is far from cruelty-free. When they're shearing, sometimes they do it at a very high speed. Sometimes they'll cut the udders of females, the penises of males, lots of nicks, and much more. After they are used up at about 3-4 years old, sometimes they will then be turned into meat or slaughtered. Other interesting facts: in the Bible, King James mentions them over 200 times. So they've been around a very long time. Said many also die from live transport. Live transport of all animals is very cruel. They'll have them on ships by the tens of thousands, overcrowded, and many die en route due to heat exhaustion or lack of any care. And they are simply thrown overboard. Some could still be alive, but on their last leg, and thrown overboard into the waters to drown. So wool is far from cruelty-free. Best to seek an alternative source, just like the fur industry. Anytime you use animals, there's going to be a level of abuse, especially when they're done on a massive, massive scale, as that is done. So that is it for my kangaroo and sheep, lamb, whatever you want to call them. So please respect all species. Look up a factory farm video. Eat more plant-based and vegan diet. Thank you. And here's my shirt I designed from Zazzle and Cafe Press. Bird feeder, not bird eater. And why love one but eat the other? Thank you. I hope you enjoyed. And please consider a plant-based diet. Look up a factory farm video such as meatvideo.com. As you can see, I branded vegan on my arm many, many years ago, over 20 years ago. That's just a small taste of the abuse that they face. So be a superhero to animals and eat grains, not brains. Thank you. Meatvideo.com on factory farms by Mercy for Animals. And to learn more about the sheep industry, you can look up videos and PETA. Thank you.